So in this final section, I'm going to talk about what is actually in the tumor. In a primary tumor, there obviously exists tumor cells and normal cells, and we've also discussed neoangiogenesis, so we know that there are blood vessels and blood cells in the tumor as well. But is that all? It turns out the answer is no. There are many types of cells present within a tumor in what we call a microenvironment. An example of this is in the image, which shows breast cancer cells in the light aqua blue color, surrounded by green and red cells in a sort of cellular milieu that creates a tumor microenvironment. If one stops and thinks about it, this makes sense. A tumor does not exist alone, but within a person's body. And the body is made out of trillions of cells and many different types of cells. So it stands to reason that cancer cells come into contact with all kinds of cells, and that these other cells may influence the cancer's ability to grow and metastasize. So a tumor is really composed of all these types of cells and more. On this slide, you see secreted molecules, fibroblasts, neurons, the extracellular matrix, cancer cells, normal cells, white blood cells, fat cells, and blood vessels. And this is just to name a few of the more well-known cells and factors that interact with the tumor. And communication between the tumor cells and the cells in the microenvironment actually drive tumor progression. Cells also secrete various molecules into the extracellular space, which is just the space in between the cells. These molecules are also represented here as secreted molecules and as the extracellular matrix. Let's take a quick look at each of these pieces of the primary tumor microenvironment now. So the extracellular matrix, or ECM, is composed of secreted proteins and complex carbohydrates. The ECM provides structure and support for tissues and acts as a barrier to cancer cell invasion. In fact, invasion through the ECM is one of the early steps of metastasis and an indicator of malignancy of the tumor. Neurons are nerve cells that connect the brain to the rest of the body, so they are present in many tissues that get cancer. Neurons communicate by secreting molecules like neurotransmitters and peptides, and some of these molecules have actually been shown to promote tumor growth. In addition, researchers have found that tumor cells can use neurons as a support to invade surrounding tissue. Most cells secrete molecules in some form or another. Tumors typically secrete more than the normal cell due to an overproduction of various molecules. Some of these secreted molecules cause immunosuppression, which would allow abnormal tumor cells to evade immune surveillance, which is a hallmark of cancer. We've also talked about how tumors cause neoangiogenesis through secreted factors. Other cells also secrete molecules that can promote tumor growth and mobility, even if that was not their intended purpose. Tumor cells have a way of using secreted molecules intended for something else and using it for their own purposes of dividing or metastasizing. Fibroblasts are a part of connective tissue that are found throughout the body. They produce fibers such as collagen. Some fibroblasts promote cancer growth and are referred to as cancer-associated fibroblasts, or CAFs. These cells have been shown to secrete a variety of factors that promote the classic properties of cancer, such as cell division, EMT, and invasion. Stores of fat cells are found throughout the body as well. Obesity has actually been linked to increased risk for many cancers, and obesity causes the buildup of adipose tissue, such as white adipose tissue, or WAT, which has been shown to produce secreted proteins that again promote tumor formation and progression, EMT, and invasion and metastasis. White blood cells, or immune cells, have long been known to have a complex relationship with cancer. There are many different types of immune cells, from T cells and B cells to macrophages and platelets, and some immune cells actually have anti-cancer properties that can kill cancer cells due to their abnormal shape or expression of abnormal proteins on their surface. On the other hand, some immune cells have pro-cancer properties and have been shown to actually suppress fellow immune cells and also to travel with cancer cells into the bloodstream during metastasis, as an example. Different immune cells will have different effects on tumor progression. This diagram shows most of the types of immune cells that can be made from a blood stem cell. A variety of cells are needed to provide organisms with different types of responses to antigens present on bacteria, viruses, etc. And some immune cells are made simply to put the brakes on other immune cells. So due to the wide array of functions, immune cells can play a variety of roles in cancer. One specific example that is a hot area of research in the cancer biology field is the macrophage. There are two types of macrophages that come from a common ancestor cell. M1 macrophages are pro-inflammatory, meaning they stimulate the immune system to respond to infection or stress or cancer. M1 macrophages promote cancer cell death and therefore are anti-cancer. M2 macrophages, on the other hand, suppress the immune system, are in fact pro-angiogenic, and favor tumor growth. This dynamic is just one example of how diverse the tumor microenvironment can be. So this concludes our section on the primary tumor microenvironment and also concludes our lecture on primary tumor growth and neoangiogenesis. I hope you've enjoyed this lecture on primary tumor growth and neoangiogenesis, which are the first two steps in the process of metastasis. The next lecture in this series, Lecture 3, will be taught by Dr. Sara Ammond on the epithelial mesenchymal transition, local invasion, and intravasation, which are all crucial next steps in the process of metastasis. And Lecture 4 will be taught by Dr. Jelani Zarif, and he will talk about survival within the circulation and extravasation.